Who's got a question? Brave soul at the back. If you might say who you are or if you're from an organisation or anything.
No. Selling myself. My question would be for Mr.
Mike, yeah?
Well, you mentioned that the British government, along with the French government, took some steps towards the solution of the Syrian problem with the opposition groups, like bringing them together and everything. Well, Western governments in the sort of recent history, they've taken so many steps to solve particular problems in the Middle East or in other parts of the world. So when I think about the sort of major historical incidents like colonialism or First World War, bloody East World War, Second World War, slavery, I can think of so many examples, so many great achievements of the West. Can you just give me one good reason why we should trust the Western governments to solve any particular problem in the world? And I'd be glad if you give me a non-rhetorical answer as well.
There has been a lot of analysis of how Turkish foreign policy has been wrong and misplaced. It surprises me that they didn't expect even Iran to support Syria, considering that they're all Shia regimes. And what I feel from what Phil said, that why has Turkey become an enemy of Assad when it was a good friend? Was it through the American and the Western influence in Turkey which pushed them in that direction? That's what I want to know about.
And who would you like to answer your question?
Sorry, my questions will be probably for both who did the
Kadri and Phil. Okay, can I take another one in this group?
I'd like to ask the panel about what are their views about the effect all of this is having, or the lack of the effect is having on Turkish-Russian relations. Because we have mentioned that the Russians have been backing Syria, and yet President Putin is going to visit Turkey in 2 weeks' time, and the two countries are as close as they've ever been. And, I'd be interested to hear the panel's views.
Mike, do you want to kick off?
Yeah, sure. You can ask rhetorical questions, and apparently you can't get rhetorical answers. Can I say it's very easy. It depends where you want to start historically. I mean, we could go back to the Crusades, or we could go back to Genghis Khan, or we could go back. I mean, you know, history is always written by the victors, and I think let's look at the world as it is today. Let's actually confront the issues today. The issues in the Middle East and in the Arab world is a phenomenal, rapid change. Nobody can predict where this is going to end up. And why are countries like France and Britain concerned? Partly because we do have some knowledge of the region. You will find that the public opinion in France and in Britain is probably more concerned than the public opinion in some other European countries, precisely because there is that relationship, for good or ill. The British government followed the French, and the EU as a whole has not gone as far in terms of its recognition of this national coalition of opposition forces, as the words being used are sole legitimate representative. Now, that is an interesting formulation. It's the formulation that liberation movements like the ANC or the PLO always wanted. But of course, it depends what happens on the ground. And we've already seen in Aleppo rejection by some of the Sunni jihadist groups of this new formulation. My fear, very bluntly, and it refers to earlier questions and other comments, my fear is that unless Britain, France, and the European Union try to find ways to resolve this issue, you will have the Saudis and the Qataris arming some groups. You will have forces from outside, perhaps through Turkey, arming other groups. And you will have the Russians and the Iranians arming other groups, and they've already got enough, more than enough, the Syrian regime, for this conflict to just continue. And in the absence of a Security Council resolution, and Russia has interest, then there has to be action by the other members of the Security Council than Russia, the UK and France, who also play a leading role within the European Union, which has got significant interests in this region. And whether